3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Mile High
Thoughts.
Put her on the spot. This is what I did.
Nailed it. Welcome to Mile High Thoughts. I'm Nicole.
I'm Cassandra.
I'm the writer.
I'm the videographer.
And the musician.
And the martial artist.
All right. Talents galore. So today we are going to talk about life. And what the fuck do we even mean by that? Well, I think we all have those moments where we're just cruising along and we're working our 9 to 5 and we're paying our bills and everything seems very normal. And then suddenly we realize this isn't normal at all. What the fuck even is this? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Why do I have to do the exact same thing most days of the week?
What is the fiber of reality? Like, what is this? What is it?
Existence.
That's the topic of today. It's heavy.
What is our purpose?
It's big.
Why do we love? Why are we alive?
Why are we alive? Not even why are we alive, but what does it mean to be alive? All right, let's do this.
I've got a lot. And I feel like it's a more towards the end type of podcast kind of thought. So I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck, where does one start with what is life?
With this.
With that. Okay. Well, the spark of fire.
The spark of the Mile High Thought.
Of the Mile High Thought. Okay. So, here's a thing. I'm going to just go ahead and start somewhere just because we need to start somewhere.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
What has recently been fascinating to me is this idea that life is a simulation. That we are in a simulation, okay? And here's what I'm going to tell you. This was interesting to me before this, but recently I saw a meme that was like trying to talk about depression, but it actually like mind exploded me on simulation.
Yes, please describe the simulation thing because that's just one that doesn't resonate with me.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to back up even farther. I think that Elon Musk is the one who really made the simulation theory like explode and make people have an interest in it.
Yikes, Elon Musk, we respect you and we kind of take your words to heart.
He's kind of the new Stephen Hawking, right? Where you're just like, you're so smart that like I can't even begin to keep up, but I'm interested. And if you say something, I'm going to take it pretty seriously, even if it makes no sense to me. So, Elon Musk laid forth this whole theory, basically, that if you take current simulations, as in games, basically, and you assume any rate of improvement over a time, like we've improved however much since Nintendo, let's just assume we're going to continue at the same rate to get better as simulations.
Starts with Atari.
Right,
simple
yeah.
Computer
You
game,
just you take fucking Mario and put it next to fucking Call of Duty or whatever, and you assume that same rate of improvement is going to continue to happen. Mm-hmm. And then you can say that, okay, by year whatever, it's going to be so good that it will be indistinguishable from reality.
Kind of like virtual reality that we're getting into now.
Exactly, yeah, but it's going to be so good that we're going to lose touch with the fact that it is virtual reality and not just reality. And so basically he thinks we'll be at that point pretty quickly. You know, that like at the rate of improvement that we have now, we're going to be at indistinguishable from reality in no time. And that if you assume that that's possible and that that's going to happen, and we have billions of simulations, billions of games, billions of lives within those games, etc., that really the chance is 1 in billions that the reality we're living is actual reality versus a simulation.
What's the simulation for?
Entertainment, basically, just like it is now. What are games for, you know? Yeah, that our actual base reality, whatever that is, fucking sucks. So we made this game or this simulation. And that's what we're living, but we don't realize that. We don't realize that this isn't actually base reality. We're in the simulation, but we're Sims. We're a very highly advanced Sims, and we don't fucking know it.
Yeah.
And, and yeah, but really, that's like, why is that so far-fetched? Because we already do that. We already play Sims. So why is it so far-fetched that like a higher evolved species would do the same thing, and that's us, that it's better? You've got a fucking Sims diamond in your fucking closet right there.
I'm gonna go grab it for the sake of the podcast.
Yes, wear your Sims diamond.
Well, I can't because we never figured out how to attach it to myself, but here we go.
Bing! So that's the thing, okay, is that we're basically a video game that was created for the amusement of higher beings that are living in a shit world. Because it's super boring.
There we go.
Yeah.
Bing!
Bing.
Just spin it.
What? Oh god, why is this hard?
So.
Anyway, that's the simulation theory, is it's going to continue to advance, and then it's going to become indistinguishable from reality, and that basically the motive is that base reality sucks. You know, in the same way that why do we like to watch movies? Why do we like to read books? Why do we like to play games? Space reality sucks. Okay? So, that theory is that based on the idea that there's going to be billions of simulations, to assume that you're the one in a billion that's real versus the billions of billions that are fake is illogical. We're probably fake.
Your simulation is 1 in a million.
1 in a million.
It plays on and on and on. Sorry.
Okay, so here's some of the more fun kind of conspiracy-like aspects of that. It would explain glitchy things that happen in your life, like deja vu.
Okay.
The
The Mandela effect?
The Mandela effect, exactly. So some of these weird phenomenons that we have could be explained by the fact that basically we're a simulation and we have glitches.
Yeah. Can I tell you about a glitch that I had somewhat recently?
Do it.
Okay. This scared me because after the fact, like maybe a week later, Nicole's like, oh, you're all in a simulation. I'm like, that explains what happened to me. But yeah, I'm driving to work, and I swear to God, I see a car pass by in front of me because I'm practicing mindfulness. You know, like, watch your environment. Well, there goes the guy in his truck with his, like, little beanie. This little big old Mexican guy with his, like, Letterman jacket on. Mm-hmm. And then, he zooms by. And then all of a sudden I see a car coming up. And it's the same guy in a different car. Same color Letterman jacket, same hair, same exactly everything. Except it was a different car. I'm like, what in the hell? Okay, that was weird. And then I started driving to work or whatever. And I turn onto the street. And then I see him again in another car driving by. Like, what in the world? It was creepy.
It is creepy. That's creepy. And I think everyone can relate to this, at least through deja vu. And probably more. I think ghosts, it could also be related to that. Like your fucking ghost count and shit. And really any ghosts, really. I don't know exactly what.
So what would it be? In the simulation land, what would ghosts be?
It would be like, you know how like sometimes when you play a game and you're like at the edge of that world or whatever.
Okay.
And then you can see it like glitching out and you see shit that's not actually there.
When you get, like, trapped under the map or whatever?
Yeah, and it's, like, it's overlapping with something that it's not supposed to. Or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be like that.
Okay.
Or it could be just, like, one program running over another.
It could be an NPC, a non-playable character.
Yeah.
One of those things
or whatever,
they just
you know?
include.
Or shit we don't even have language for yet, because it's more advanced, you know? But it could be a glitch, where you're seeing a different part of the simulation that you're not supposed to be seeing right now.
It's a scary thought, and I'm going to choose to not believe it. Because that's a little too scary for me, I think.
You know what? Here's what's weird for me, is that if you say to somebody, if you, like, lay this out where you say, okay, we know how good games are now. We know how quickly they got that good from how bad they were before, from, like, fucking Pong or whatever. And then you like say, okay, so you assume that from Pong to now, you assume that that rate of improvement is going to continue. Will we at some point not know the difference between simulation and reality? And almost everyone could say, yes, okay, I could see that. I could see how that would happen. Yes, that makes sense. But then when you say, okay, what if we're in a simulation now? Then you hit the roadblock and they're like, whoa, no, I'm not ready to go there. But really, if you're willing to believe that there's a simulation so convincing you wouldn't know that it's different from reality, why is it so impossible that we're in that simulation?
It's not impossible, and that's why it's scary, Nicole.
Well, and here's the thing I find interesting, too. It's because everybody, like all religions, talk about like a true self or a deeper self, a natural self, like the soul, a version of you that's not the ego. Like, okay, this body's not you. Like, I'm a writer. I look like this. That's all ego, right? You know, but there's a deeper self. And to me, I'm like, is that deeper self the fucking gamer? Or whatever?
We're just the avatar.
And we're the avatar. We're the extension of that. We're the ego. We're the I wish I was this thing. Or I'm going to play as this, at least.
Right. Create your identity.
Yes.
Create your status.
Yeah, like when you're sitting there making a game, you're like, I'm going to make a character with a fucking mohawk and a green vest. Or whatever. You know,
right.
like that's what we are. They made us.
And then you go through a storyline where you get cancer and you lose all your hair and you're like, damn it!
Yeah. And you're like creating this little storyline for this little fucking person, you know? And that's what we are. We're a story that somebody created. And our soul is that actual person.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Like...
And our body's just a vehicle that's listening.
Our body is just an avatar that was created.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy, I don't like it.
Anyway, that's a theory that's been really interesting to me lately, and I think it's interesting on all kinds of levels, because I love that idea of that's what the higher self might be, is that literally you are this different self that's outside of this simulation, and this is just one life that you've chosen to live. And why? Hopefully for personal growth, hopefully to learn a lesson. But, you know, I mean, maybe just for fucking sheer entertainment, but hopefully for better purposes than that. But, just this idea that this whole idea you have that you're a deeper thing and that you're going to go on beyond this life, maybe that's completely true. And you know that instinctively because you know that when you're done with this life, it's going to say game over and you're going to just start your next game.
You know what I'm thinking about?
What?
One of those kids that said that they were reincarnated.
Uh-huh.
And one of the first things, after his parents started to believe him that he had, like, remembered this former life or whatever, you know, they were like, oh, you remember when, you remember when he was made.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, oh, yeah, I remember that hotel room.
Hotel room?
Yeah, because they banged in a hotel room and he was created.
He remembers conception?
Yeah, he was like, I chose you.
Weird! Ah!
Yeah, he said, I chose you. Yeah, he's like, I remember that hotel, I remember the room, I chose you.
How bizarre is that? Okay, so that naturally leads us into reincarnation. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, you know, I think there's different ideas of what reincarnation is, too.
I agree.
There's the standard Buddhist... You take that.
me take standard Buddhist? Okay.
Yeah, because you've actually read...
I have. So standard Buddhism, I guess, first appealed to me because it said that hell is earth. And that, like, because most traditional Western religions believe that there's earth and there's heaven and hell. You live your life on earth, and then based on how you did that, you go to heaven or you go to hell. Buddhism and a lot of Eastern religions really differ in that because they have kind of the same concept, but they're like, okay, so there's this earth and you live here, and based on that, you either get out and you go to heaven, aka samsara, or no, samsara is hell, sorry. So you get out of that and you reach enlightenment, you get out. You don't have to be reincarnated anymore. You've attained enlightenment, you're out. Or you haven't learned your lessons and you're going to reincarnate and you're going to stay here, which is samsara, which is suffering, which is earth. Which means that really earth is hell, life is hell.
And don't we all feel that way?
Don't we all feel that way? So it's not you get one shot at this and you go to heaven or hell. It's you get as many shots at this as you need and eventually you'll go to heaven. But until then, you're going to keep doing this shit until you figure it out. So that's kind of that idea, and it's just that you're going to be reincarnated, you're going to account for your karma, the good and bad things you've done is going to create a better or worse life for you. You're going to learn the lessons you need to learn, whether you like it or not. And eventually, as you evolve, you know, like, even to just be human is a very big deal in Buddhism, because you could have been reincarnated into anything, and it's very hard to be born as a human. So, like, everyone talks about their good and bad karma and their circumstances and whatever. The fact that you're even human means you're doing pretty fucking good. Mm-hmm. Honestly, because it's hard to be human, and you have these higher faculties that allow you access to enlightenment that you don't really have as a fucking centipede or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you like have a shot at least at enlightenment as a human that you don't necessarily have as whatever else.
How do you know
that you can't do that as an animal? Well, I guess it's just kind of assumed because you don't have the intelligence required. Your brain function isn't where it needs to be. But, you know, has a dog ever reached enlightenment? I don't know, maybe, but they're not really able to contemplate life as a whole.
No?
I mean, that's assumed, I guess, but yeah, that they don't have that mental capacity to really think outside themselves or outside the moment. They're very present. You know, it's one of the beautiful things we love about dogs is they're very in the moment. You can hit a dog and 5 seconds later it's licking your face because they know now, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But that's also limiting.
Yeah. I don't know. I have my own idea of reincarnation, which is gaining a lot of momentum. I'm seeing a lot more stuff about it. Which is basically that, you know, it's more science-based. And it's like, hey, we're made up of atoms. You can't destroy an atom. So, you know, our physical body dies, we decay or whatever, all those little atoms don't die. It disperses. And we become lots of different things. And I think that's how we, like, connect with different people. We're like, that's a part of myself. Oh, that's a part of myself.
There's one of my atoms.
Yeah, that's one of my atoms. Man, that guy's totally me. That guy's totally me, right? You know, and not only that, but we can be anything that has atoms, anything that has energy. Okay, I'm sorry, but I did a drug experience. Shocker. But,
it's Mile High Thoughts, yo. Roll with it.
Let's be real. I'm the only one with the Mile High Thoughts here.
Not true.
You have the science. You've got the study brain, the book brain, and I've got the... Oh, man, have you ever thought of you know.
We'll talk about that later.
Anyway. I did salvia, and it looked like space and time ripped open. Like freaking Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes. Yeah, just a hole opened up out of nowhere.
I want to, like, create it accurately, so it's like that.
It was like the size of my tripod. Okay. Just up in the air more.
So, like, big, so what?
Yeah, it was a pretty big one.
Okay.
Like, you might be able to walk through it, but you can't.
And you literally saw this. You literally saw the room rip in half.
Yeah, it was more of like a mental rip. It wasn't like that I saw.
Okay.
But it was definitely, like a, you know, you kind of did see, you know, this hole open up. And all of a sudden I felt like I was just falling forward through it. And as I'm falling forward through it, I'm hitting all of these different existences that I'm living right now at the same moment. So I'm like, oh, I'm a boy sitting on a cliff. You know, like, oh, I'm the vibrations of a guitar string, which is the coolest one. But I was like, oh, it's anything. You can be anything, you know, that requires energy. And it made sense to me in a scientific way. That's what made me think of all this, a drug-fueled thing. And I'm like, I need to look into this. And I started looking into that a lot more. And yeah, I think we're energy.
Does that make you think that we're, like, in parallel universes? It's like you're all these different things at once? Like, is that you in a bunch of universes?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the only reason I say that is because one of the places that I went to was, like, completely on its left side.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So it was like just a regular world, but it was just turned on its side. Yeah, and that was when I saw the boy on the cliff thing, and I'm like, oh, weird, you know? And so, yeah, I totally think there's different dimensions, not to mention that a whistleblower that was with the government and all that said there is absolutely multiple dimensions, no denying it, and then he just moved on, like, yeah, that's just fact. Okay, now let me get to the other stuff.
Well, that is just fact at this point, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
I think it is, yes, that there's multiple dimensions. We don't really understand what that means or how many there are. But I think that dimensions and parallel universes are different.
Yeah.
Because dimensions is like, you know, it's something we don't really understand. We have a really hard time with as humans. But we know 2D, we know 3D, we get confused at 4D.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty good understanding of it still in the scientific community of what 4D is. But anything beyond that, we start getting really baffled. But I think that parallel universes is really, like, dimensions to me is an understanding of this universe versus parallel universes are a totally different universe. And I think that the idea that there's infinite parallel universes, like, what do you think about this? Like, this idea that every possible version of your life is being played out in parallel universes. Like, every decision you've ever made, there's another universe where you made the other decision. Don't like it?
Not really. I think it's still very ego. Mm-hmm. It's like, I just want this one character to do a bunch of things, you know? Right. But I feel like...
that's true for everyone, though. So how many universes would that be?
A ton.
Because there's not only a universe where I did this, and I did that, and I did this. There's also a universe where you reacted this way, and that way, and that way, and that way, and so on and so forth for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like, it's infinite. And then the idea that when you die, you just go into a different universe. Kind of like you were talking about how you were falling through different dimensions and whatever. It's kind of like that. Like, you die and you go to a new universe. Then you die in that one, you go to a new one. Then you go... And you're really just stuck in this fucking... this ego... but in a zillion ways.
I think the ego is what is keeping us here.
Right. But you have to experience that ego in every way humanly possible.
You know, I feel like we used to be able to jump freely.
Between universes?
Yes, between all of our atoms.
Okay.
I feel like we were able to sing back. This is a personal belief. I don't think I've ever talked about this.
Be the guitar vibrations?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could go back and forth as I pleased. I feel like ego was manufactured to keep us here in this reality to make us slaves.
By who, though? Like, who manufactured that?
The government!
The banks! To take something so spiritual, though, and say that the banks made it happen is just weird for me. It's like, well, how would something that material and fucking...
No, it's like, it's all very spiritual, and it would go, you know, we would all go ding, 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 on whatever. And then someone who got their egos all up and decided, I'm going to rule this one dimension. Anyone who comes into this dimension is going to be my slave. They're going to work to make me wealthy, blah-de-blah. I think absolutely that's a possibility.
That one's hard for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're in a position to where you understand how many universes and dimensions there are, and that we're all atoms and we all have the capability to live as all these millions of things and whatever, how are you that shallow?
What do you mean?
Because if we're like that, presumably they're like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why are they concerned about money in this one particular manifestation of life that they need to enslave everyone?
Because they're dumbasses and they don't value anything except like material shit. They got their shit twisted, but it doesn't, you know.
Here's my problem with that. I have a hard time assuming anyone is stupid or evil or anything. I think that I really do. Because
first ever, folks. Sorry.
I feel like everybody like does bad things and makes mistakes, of course, but I feel like it's very much involved with circumstance. When people like treat someone poorly, I think it has a lot to do with that person's relationship, you know, and how my flaws and insecurities are interacting with your flaws and insecurities and whatever. I don't believe that person's a bad person. I believe
mafia people?
No.
Trump? Nothing?
No, not really. I think they do evil things. But I think that it's so complicated, and it has so much to do with how your brain is wired and your environment and how your circumstances unfolded for you. I think that...
But it's still happening where people are being abused and killed and taken advantage of for the gain of somebody else.
Yeah, it's happening. But I think it's just so dependent on things being mixed up just exactly in the wrong way. I don't think that people are just blatantly evil.
Okay. But it's still happening.
Uh-huh.
So why couldn't it be happening? That
Because
we're all being controlled here, that we're all being stuck here, we're all being sucked of our energy or
because
whatever
that
the fuck.
demands that someone's aware of how infinite we are in all these different universes and everything, and yet they're still turning a blind eye on that for the sake of control in this one dimension.
Fuck yeah! That is government, military, bank shit written all over that.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah!
It just doesn't make sense to me.
You're so cute. I love you. My love. She's so sweet. Doesn't think anyone's capable of bad shit.
And not that they're not capable. Of course they are, but like...
But it comes from a good place. Oh.
No, but just if you had that much knowledge, that you would fucking still choose to be that small.
Small?
Yeah. You know of all this infinity, and yet you're gonna choose to be wrapped up in the money of now? Like, you have that much power and that much knowledge, but you're concerned with this fucking stupid thing? That's like a human being
Controlling over a dimension? A bunch of people's different lives? I think that's absolutely...
To me, that's like me being concerned with how a fucking ant colony works. You know, like, why? Like, there's so much more. Can I control these ants? Sure, but why do I fucking care? I don't.
Well, why do fucking controlling abusive men beat the shit out of their wives and tell them what to wear and what not to wear? Who cares?
But those are people who are only aware of this reality, you know? Like, you're talking about people that are, like, aware of multiple dimensions and stuff and trying to control this dimension.
I know. Maybe they can't control absolutely everything. Maybe that's their little take.
I think when you have that much wisdom, though, you're not going to be that small. When you have that much wisdom, you grow out of that kind of thinking. No?
I don't know. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one. Let's just talk about death, too. Let's just do life and death.
Okay.
For real, but... Honestly, I totally feel like... life, dude. The whistleblower and the whatever. He's like, seriously, you're being harvested for your energy. He said energy, not even money. He said energy.
That makes more sense.
Yeah?
Because money's too small and stupid. It's God's being concerned with ants. It just doesn't make sense to me.
We are batteries, he says, and we are trying to suck us completely.
See, that's a thing that I could wrap my mind around. That's a thing that could actually have value to a higher being.
Okay.
You know, like... There needs to be a purpose that's of use to them, and it's just hard for me to buy that money would
So
be
how
of
would you
use.
use energy?
To live, to continue living.
To continue living?
To be immortal.
Oh. I wonder how you mine energy.
Yeah. Matrix shit, you fucking plug them in.
I don't know. Anyway, we're getting way far into the woo-woo land.
Woo-woo land. More than likely, we're all just beings that are gonna die and nothing will fucking happen.
More than likely, this is just the one reality, and they're gonna keep our taxes high, so we can never thrive, only survive.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about your slave theory.
I really do feel like we are just freaking slaves here. And I was watching something about the original slavery or whatever, and how they used to pay them after they did their work was with these little tickets where they would just go take it and buy meals and whatever. And I'm like, is that not what money is? It's a little freaking piece of paper.
It's nothing.
Yeah. So it's like, why are we doing all this? And it makes me wonder why, you know, bartering has gone away, where you can just trade goods, you know, and I could be like, here's my skill, you give me this, or whatever. Here's my
paper represents your skill, though. Like, you're not giving them the tomatoes, but you're giving them a piece of paper that says you can go buy such and such amount of tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, either way, we can't fucking live on what we're making.
True. And on the other side of that, an extraordinary amount of people are rich.
Yeah, that's because they are criminals.
They're not all criminals, though.
In order to be really making it in this system, they're doing something wrong.
You think so?
Yes!
I don't see. I'm just so not as cynical as you are. I think you could be rich and not be a criminal.
You're recruiting bankers that steal and deal drugs
What
and
if
stuff
you're not,
like
though?
that.
You don't have to be. You can make an insane amount of money without being a criminal.
Yeah, the only thing is, the only way you can make an insane amount of money is if you're making other people pay you insane amounts of money.
You're not making them, though. You're offering something they want.
And now we're getting to a point where it doesn't matter, and that's very controlled. And if you try to go over to this other company, we're going to sue the fuck out of them or do whatever until they're shut down.
I'm more interested, actually, in mind control. Like, we're so conditioned to need stuff that when Apple puts out the new iPhone, we're all like, oh my god, I need it. Do we need it? No, we don't fucking need it. Our current iPhones are fucking fine.
Yeah.
Why do we think we need it?
Well,
because
that's all
media
hype.
told us we need it.
Yeah, it's all hype, and it's like, you're not cool unless you have the newest, brand spankingest, you know, don't you want these cool-ass features and whatever?
Yeah.
But...
Still, though, Apple, I mean, do you think they're just total thugs?
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying you can't be super mega successful rich without being a fucking gangster thug. Like, so let's just take a super rich, successful company, Apple.
Okay, we'll take Apple, and I'm going to say that not a lot of computer creators came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a lot of people smart enough to make a very convenient computer.
True.
There was like 2, 3.
Fair. So what makes them thugs versus just geniuses?
Thugs versus geniuses?
Like, they're really smart. They did something no one else could. There's nothing bad about that.
What makes them thugs is the non-fair trade shit. So
With China?
Yeah, so everything is from China.
Okay.
You know, and all of that stuff's unmonitored, mostly.
Uh-huh.
And so we don't know. That's all fucking child labor type of stuff. And then plus, they're getting that for dirt cheap. And then they're hiking up the rates to buy it to insane amounts of money.
Insane. And they know you'll buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's no competition.
Right.
And they make their crap go bad.
Uh-huh.
To force you to buy a new thing.
Right. And it's not even so much... I've kind of let go of the forcing your shit to go bad thing. It's kind of like an evolution thing. They found out that this stuff can go faster. They found out that this stuff can go faster. So they start making new apps and new updates. So it'll run all these cool stuff. Except they don't, like, leave the old applications for the old phones. Mm-hmm. You know, and so when you update it to that new one that's meant for a fucking phone that's like 3 times the speed of yours, all of a sudden your phone is like crashing and glitching out. It's like, you know, and you can't fucking use it anymore. So I don't want to say that it's like purposeful anymore.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, you definitely...
That's how I feel about most of it. I don't really believe it's purposeful, which is why I have a hard time with the word evil.
Okay.
I think it's just people trying to be successful.
Oh, yeah. That one dude who used to fake shit. What did he fake? He faked that he was a clothing designer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, he faked that he was a clothing designer, got into all of these crazy award things, started getting sponsorship and all sorts of stuff, and he had nothing. Like, all he did was take somebody else's clothes and throw his label on it.
Damn.
Millionaire. So there are some sketch-ass stuff out there.
There's definitely sketchy stuff. I'm just saying that just because you're successful doesn't mean you're evil.
No.
You could just be smart.
You could just work your ass off.
And work very hard, yeah.
Yeah. Or have come into money via family.
Exactly, yeah. Once you're in, you're kind of in.
Yeah.
You know, if you're rich in a big way like that, you've got a lot of power.
Right. And unless you don't know how to manage it, and then all that money's going to go. But bye-bye.
Yeah, but you know, you have so much more wiggle room. Like if you're going to start an enterprise and you've got $1 million to put into it versus 10 grand to put into it, you have a lot more room to fuck up. You know, and then once you start talking 10 million, 100 million, whatever, like you could fuck up really bad. Like pretty much you could buy your way to success.
Yes.
You could fuck up a lot and still make it. Mm-hmm. Versus someone who's poor who doesn't have all that money. If they fuck up, that's it. They're going under.
Man, just ask McDonald's. They keep putting out shit.
They're going down, man, though.
They are going down, but that's because plant-based eating is starting to go way up.
Exactly, but who makes that happen?
Yeah, and it doesn't help that, you know, all of this stuff is so, you know, everything's a big mass farm that's not really monitored or whatever, the best conditions. That.
Oh, how weird is that?
So it's like, now people are starting to tell the difference. Now they're like, we've got a lot more natural stuff going up, you know, and people are like, oh, I just need an apple or whatever. And they go in and they grab one and they're like, oh my why does this taste like 10,000 times better than the stuff that I get at Walmart, you know? Yeah. It's like,
dude, the other day I was in the non-organic section of Sprouts. Not to, like, hate on Sprouts, because I know that this is just everyone, but the avocados in the non-organic section, I'm not kidding, are, like, 5 times, and I'm not, no exaggeration, 5 times bigger than the organic ones.
Jesus.
Like, organic is, like, this size, and, like, non-organic is, like, this size. Like, it's massive. It doesn't even look like an avocado. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
It's a grapefruit.
Yeah. It was. That's a good analogy. It's like grapefruit size. A grapefruit-sized avocado.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, what freak of nature.
Yeah.
Makes me think of Lauren. What are baby carrots? Freak carrots.
Oh, man. What were we even talking about? We're so off track.
Life. Why are we here? Slavery. We do not get paid enough. And once we get more money, why am I still making $800 a paycheck?
Even though our pay has changed substantially.
Yeah, I used to be making $10 an hour, and I make like a grip more now, and still I'm at $800 a fucking paycheck.
Yeah, that's weird. Your hourly rate goes up, but your check doesn't change.
Yeah, or like very tiny.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
My paycheck is $1,083. How much is yours?
$800.
Okay, so I make just under $300 more than you. And I make almost 50% more. Why? Why?
It's fucking rigged, man. It's fucking rigged. We're not supposed to be thriving.
You know, that's a thing, too, because here's the thing. I remember when I was young, when I first got out of my mom's house, when I was going to go be independent, and I was making $10 an hour, okay? And for me, at the time, that was a big deal.
That was huge!
That was a big deal. Getting to $10, I had to be a shift supervisor to make that.
Yeah.
I got promoted. I moved locations. Like, it was a big deal for me to make $10 an hour.
Uh-huh.
And making $10 an hour meant that I could have my own apartment. Can you even imagine?
No.
Trying to have your own apartment on $10 an hour now.
No way in hell.
I lived in Capitol Hill, so in Denver. For those of you who don't live in Denver, Capitol Hill's the fucking place to be. Very popular, hip place, progressive. That's where the young people are. That's where the gays are. That's where the artists
are. It's downtown, man.
It's downtown, but it's not in the skeezy, dangerous part of downtown. It's the safe part of downtown.
Okay.
And it's where the arts are, you know? So it's the place to fucking be, okay? And I lived in a 1-bedroom, 750 square foot, so not massive, but enough, plenty, you know, not a shoebox by any means, not Manhattan living. And it was $750 a month. $750 a month for a 1-bedroom, 750 square foot apartment in Capitol Hill, Denver, that I could pay for along with my food and all my other bills and cable, everything, the whole deal, on a $10 per hour job. And granted, I had to be smart, you know, I didn't have a lot to spare, but I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even pay my fucking car on $10 an hour now. I could literally live in my car on $10 an hour and still be struggling.
Yeah.
You know, like it just doesn't even come fucking close anymore. And it's not like we're talking about like our grandparents being like, candy was a nickel. Like this was like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird because you make all these advancements or whatever, you get new careers, you get promotions, you do all this shit to better your life, but your life doesn't actually change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it requires more and more of you to live the same life.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that, yo?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I saw this thing that was interesting to me. It was talking about, does money truly buy happiness?
Fuck yeah.
Well, what it said is yes, until you make 70 grand a year.
Why?
And then no.
Why?
Because that's how much you need to take care of your basics.
Okay.
And when you don't have enough money to cover your basics, then yes, money will buy you happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, money will not buy you happiness. So up until your basics are covered, it will help because you need to have a stress-free life. You need to know your essentials are covered. But beyond that, money doesn't help.
Why?
Because your other fulfillment and your other happiness comes from your passions and your art and your relationships and things that money can't buy. So basically, it will buy your happiness up until the point that you feel like you are secure. That you can live, that you can eat, that you have a roof.
And then that's over with, and then you worry about the next thing.
And then that's over with, and then money can't buy you the next level. The next level is contentment with your relationships and your interpersonal relationships and your passions and your art and everything.
Right.
That's the next level of contentment, and money can't do that.
Right.
Money can buy you basic comfort, it cannot buy you fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And $70K a year is, I guess, basic comfort. Fuck, man. Yeah.
I don't make that.
And how much do you make?
I don't know.
You're below the poverty line, like by a lot.
I have no idea.
Here's the
I'm
wild
gonna
thing.
say, I'm going to say 30. I don't know.
I don't think you even make quite 30. Maybe 30. Let's just say 30. Even if
Okay.
you say 30.
Right.
That's below the poverty line in America. But here's a cool thing that I learned. Worldwide, because we talk about the 1% a lot in America, right? Mm-hmm. The 1%, the richest 1% of America. And the richest 1% of America is insane. It's like billionaires. It's like so rich. Mm-hmm. But the 1% richest part of the world, $35,000 a year. Meaning that even you, with your $30K, you're not quite 1%, but you are up there worldwide.
Wow.
And yet you live like shit compared to the 1% of America. And that's why the world fucking hates us.
You have all this money and you say you can't live. Fuck you.
Yeah. My grandparents went to Africa. And this fucking guy, and they're like safari driver, and was like, hey, I'm trying to start this company. I want to do this. And they're like, oh, that's cool, man. Good for you. He's like, hey, would you like to invest like $100,000? And he was talking to them like in such a casual, assumptive way. Like, hey, would you be interested? And like just completely confident that they were capable of investing $100,000 in him. And they were like blown away by like that. Like, what makes you think I have $100,000 lying around? But that's how the world thinks of us, and that's why. It's because worldwide we are the 1%. Our whole country is the 1% of the world. But as a country, we whine about the 1% of our country.
It's very interesting.
What else we got?
Well, what do you think really our purpose is? I mean, besides simulations and all that, I guess.
Our purpose?
Yeah. Assuming this is an actual reality.
Even if it's not a reality, actually. I don't think we have a purpose. other than to entertain whatever higher being created us.
We're just entertainment.
I think we're entertainment.
That's so depressing, Nicole.
I know, but that's what I think. I think it's the same as how, as a writer, you feel the need to create a book.
Yeah.
And your characters are in that book going, why are you putting us through this? I don't know. Entertainment. I think that's us.
Okay. Well, assuming we're not at the whim of a god, I feel like our life's purpose is basically to experience as much stuff as possible, to learn as much as possible, including traumas and skills and tools and technology and whatever. Traumas will help us, like, ingrain that almost, like, primitive side of our brain, you know. It's like, oh, trauma, all right, that's forever imprinted on my DNA now. I'm going to pass that on to my children. I'm going to make sure never to jump into shark-infested waters. You know? Right. Stuff like that. And stuff like that carries on. And, yeah, that's basically it. Those kinds of imprints gets passed through our energy, through our child, or other life lessons to people or whatever.
To what end, though?
Evolving further generations.
But why are we here at all? Why are we evolving? For what?
That's just the nature of things. You can't have something sit there and be the exact same thing for, like, ever. It gets bored. It's going to do something. It's going to try something different.
Why are we here?
I don't know.
Why is there even something?
Here. I don't know. Science. Biology. Things.
I think, and I'm probably very, very biased to a storyteller's point of view because I'm a writer and I love stories or whatever. Yeah. That's why I say that I think that we're entertainment. I don't mean that in a shallow way, necessarily. But I think we learn about the world through stories.
So you think there's a god?
I guess, but not in the traditional, like, man in the sky god kind of way. I think that we are all one entity. I think that we are the universe living a collective consciousness existence, and that we are teaching ourselves through stories that we are telling through a million different existences.
You're telling a story through a bunch of existences.
Yeah, I think that we're all one big being. We're all just the universe. We're all different little facets of the universe, and the universe is just a being. And that we fractured ourselves and splintered ourselves into billions of people. And we're all learning something for the greater oneness.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it's kind of like that. Yeah, absolutely. I just really think that once we die, the lines get shattered. The lines that draw, this is a chair, this is a house, this is a whatever. I think we all just become a part of a web of chemicals and energy and whatever. Like, oh.
Yeah. You know, an analogy that always really sat well with me about how I think of the universe versus life. I think of the universe / God / oneness as the ocean, and a individual person as a wave.
Yeah. Right. Or the existence of body, and you are merely a finger or a nail or whatever, right? You're just...
Kind of, but I really like the wave analogy because you go from being the ocean to being kind of your own thing. You go through this cycle, this life process of you're building, you're creating, you're breaking, you're dying. And now you're just part of the oneness again.
Okay, I gotcha. That's nice. So, should we just talk about death?
Fuck yeah, let's talk about death.
Alright, well, I kind of talked about the atom thing already, but I wanted to talk about some cool, crazy, creepy things about death, too.
Oh, okay. Creepy things.
Yeah, so I remember the first time I got really afraid of death. Like, afterlife stuff. That was when my roommate told me the story about his father.
Oh, God. This fucks me up. Continue. Prepare to be fucked up.
So his dad, I believe he went into cardiac arrest, and they took him over to the ER, and he was flatlining, and they, did the whole thing, and they started him up again, and he just sat up, and he was like, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, and boom, then he keels over dead. Isn't that mortifying? No, dear Jesus.
He said he was in hell. Did he actually say that?
Yeah, he didn't say he was in hell. He said he was on fucking fire.
He's on fire, okay.
Yeah, he said, I'm burning, I'm on fire, and like... And then he just freaking died. And I was like, oh, man.
Oh.
What a horrendous thing for your child to go through.
Oh.
And...
Oh.
So then I started looking into a bunch of stuff. I started looking into, like, what happens when we die. So everybody's talking about the tunnel thing and whatever. But then I started hearing a lot of conflicting stories. I saw Jesus. I saw hell. I saw nothing. It was complete nothingness forever, And it's all mixed bags, Some kids like, oh, he was a Middle Eastern Jesus, and some of them are like, oh, I just saw Grandma and Grandpa, I don't know. And I'm like, everybody has, a different experience. And it's like, I started thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, well, maybe it's all just a dream. Maybe we're creating what we see after we die. And then I started seeing documentaries popping up on dreams and stuff like that, and what happens when we die. And what was it? Our brain, the part of our brain that dreams is going off when we die. That's one of the last little sparks to go. Besides just like random scary. Oh, you're all dead and just fucking random twitches and stuff. Ugh. Ugh. But, yeah, one of the last things to go is your dreaming state. And I'm like, why on earth, And it has to be like a coping mechanism that we've developed to conquer death. And, I was like, oh man, I need to make it so my dreams will not be bad if I die. I have to sit right with myself. And I noticed that all these people that had, like, experience of hell and things like that were super, like, atheist. But that was because they grew up in a super ultra religious household. Mm. So they grew up totally believing these things, feeling the fear, being like, this is weird and messed up, why is my God doing that?
But then turning their back on it.
And then being like, But that subconscious, that childhood stuff is still in there. Uh-huh. So you're like, I'm gonna fucking burn if I die. Mm-hmm. So, I'm like, okay, no more religious stuff. I'm gonna create my own spirituality. I'm gonna make my own puppies and kittens thing. And that's when I really lost interest in scary movies. Because it was messing me up, and I'm like, I don't need that stuff feeding fuel. I don't want my first thought to be some demon dragging me down into the pits of hell. Or being a ghost, or whatever the hell, Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, nothing but good stuff. I'm going to work on my energy, going to work on my spirituality. And slowly I started working on just regular fears, too. I'm just going to shower in the dark. And I'd be afraid something's going to get me in the dark, No more running and jumping on the bed. You're going to let that monster take your foot,
Oh, man.
But, retraining it. I don't want to have bad dreams when I die. I don't know. That's what I think happens. What do you think happens?
Here's the thing. I think you're right. But I also think that that is just purely a mechanical brain mechanism, like you said, to help you cope with dying.
Yeah.
And so even though I think that's true, it doesn't make me feel anything about what the afterlife actually is.
Right.
I think of that just as a physical function of your body to help you cope with dying.
Absolutely.
And I'm much more interested and concerned about what actually happens after you die. Because to me, that's just part of your body dying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like we kind of already talked about that, didn't we? Because I was talking about... Because we were talking about reincarnation and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, as much as I think you're right, and that does happen, and that hopefully you can get to a place where you have a better death experience, I also think that it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the beginning stage of death. That is like your last little out of this life.
Right. So I think that is going to create a better dying experience for you, but that it has no effect really on whatever your spiritual path is going to be. And as far as what I think that actually is about, I think that another of your theories is probably accurate, that we just disperse.
Yeah.
That's troubling to me because I don't really love that idea, but it seems likely to me. See, there's a difference between what you think will happen and what you hope will happen.
Right.
And what I think will happen is probably just that. You're probably going to have some kind of almost psychedelic-like experience while you're dying. And that once you're dead, you're going to disperse, and no version of you, as you would call it you, will exist anymore.
Yeah.
And that maybe your atoms will go on to be anything, but does that mean anything to you as a consciousness? No, not really. Basically, you're just fucking gone. So that's kind of depressing, sorry. But, that's kind of what I think. I think in a more hopeful, what I would prefer to be true version would be, I like the idea of reincarnation a lot. Mm-hmm. I like the idea that you kind of choose where you're going to go to learn the lessons you need to learn. I like that idea. There's some compelling evidence about people that remember past lives and stuff that it would be really lovely to buy into that completely and say that's what happens. I have a lot of logical issues with that as far as like...
How does that... It's the knowledge imprint.
That my problem with it's actually way more basic than that. How, if we're all reincarnated beings, does our population keep increasing?
Are there more deaths or births?
I mean, since human existence, way more people have died than lived, but our population on this planet increases. So way more people are alive now than they were 1 million years ago. So where are those extra souls coming from if we're all just reincarnated, recycling the same souls?
Well, maybe if more people are dying than have lived, and it's just taking them forever to, like, come back.
But that's over years, you know. Like, at any one given time, there's more people alive now than there ever have been.
Yeah. I don't know. That kind of accounts for the dispersing, though.
That's something I've thought of, too, is that as one entity, we're splintering into more and more fragments. Mm-hmm. And that ultimately we're one, but since we're so lost and collective consciousness has gone so sideways, we're splintering more and more and more. And as we reach enlightenment, what that process is about us becoming fewer and fewer. We're becoming more unified. So... as population continues to go up, that would indicate that we're becoming more splintered and more lost as a universal being. Mm-hmm. And that when that population starts coming down, we're becoming more unified as a universal being. Because when you reach enlightenment, you stop reincarnating. Mm-hmm. So as more people become enlightened, there are fewer souls reincarnating into bodies. That's a theory. I don't know how much I actually believe that, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, I think there's fucking nothing. It's depressing as fuck, and I don't want that to be true. But if you were like, hey, guess what? I need you to guess what reality is. And if you're right, you know, like, the universe will continue, and if you're wrong, everything you ever have known will be destroyed. Now, give it your best guess.
Yeah.
I would say absolutely nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some dreams, and then we're totally dead.
Yeah, you have a dream experience, which is your body's way of coping with death, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I actually think. I would love to not think that, because it's horrifying, but that's what I think.
Well, I believe that whatever you believe to make you feel better, grip that.
What if what you believe, though, like me, doesn't make you feel better?
That's the thing. You need to find something that's not going to make you fear. Because fear, I don't feel, is religious. I don't think that's a very good spiritual tool, fear. No. It's supposed to be all love, all nurturing, all one. You know, it's supposed to make you feel whole in every aspect, in ways you didn't even think possible. You know, not just physically, mentally, but shit you didn't even realize within you. Everyone's always like, a warmth, you know, a full, loving, enveloping, whatever. And that's what it should be for you. It shouldn't be all like, it shouldn't be that fucking dad with the belt being like, fucking.
See, mine's not dad with the belt, though. It's just hopeless.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile, like, okay, hey, yeah, I would love to believe something that makes me feel better, but I don't. What do you do?
Just find something that helps you cope with that fact, I guess.
Nothing helps me cope. If I, like, ever sit and think about death, like, in a sincere way for more than 15 minutes, I will go into a panic attack. I'm not kidding.
Well, that's the thing, is you gotta just explore what might work for you.
But I have. I got nothing.
No.
I've meditated. I've looked into many different religions. I've read a lot of different religious texts.
Well, you know what I did? I said, you know, I don't have control.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what you do with Jesus, you know, like, I have no control, I put it in your hands.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that's kind of what I'm doing. It's all like, I have no say either way. It's gonna happen, so let it go.
And that just doesn't make me feel better. Like, I accept that that's true, but it doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
I need to go to some, like, group therapy sessions, like, for cancer people that are dying, except I'm not, but, like, be like, look, I need to learn to accept death.
Yeah, and, you know, it's just like somebody mourning, you're mourning somebody else's death. You gotta go through all those stages, and you have to mourn your own death. And then you kind of come to terms, and are like, well, okay. And then you're at peace with it.
See, I can't reach that, though. Like, I tried to go through that with my dad when he died. I tried to go through it. I tried to think of it 1,000,001 ways. I'm not at peace. I don't feel okay. That doesn't just happen naturally. Like, there's this assumption that...
No, it doesn't happen naturally.
There's an assumption that if you sit with it long enough and you try enough different ways, eventually you're going to come to a peace.
Yeah, kind of.
That's not a given, though. I've tried it every way I could think to try it. I feel no fucking better.
And I think it comes to you with time, too. You know, a lot of old people are like, I don't give a fuck about death, you know? Yeah. You ask them that when they're 20, 30 years old, and they were like, oh, you know, I'm never gonna die. And just pretend it's not there and it won't happen, whatever. And then now they're like, yeah, bring that shit on, I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
So it might just come with you with time, too, just changing perspective over time.
I guess I just feel like I should have made some kind of progress for how much I've thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait. Some stuff will start clicking with you over time.
Mm.
Because I've thought about a lot of stuff over the years, and it just all of a sudden took one sentence, one tiny little experience, and it just flipped everything on its head. I don't know what it is about aging that does that. You can hear the same thing a bajillion times.
And then suddenly it means something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I know... I mean, I understand that it's going to happen, and you have to accept that it's going to happen. But that whole feeling okay with it thing, you can't force that, and I don't feel that. I'm not okay with that. And, like, I feel like everyone always wants to talk about, like, be that wise person who's like, oh, I wouldn't live forever if I could. And I just don't feel that way. I'm like, you give me a pill tomorrow that says you'll live forever. I'm taking that bitch. And I know that's not how a lot of people feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing where I'm like, give it 20 years and see how you feel, you know?
Yeah. You know, I heard a thing the other day, actually, from a scientist who was talking about anti-aging, and he said that we might be the last generation to die.
What?
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Isn't
oh
it?
my god, I gotta tell you, Donnie showed me this old ass, like, black and white video where they took, like, a heart on its own and got it to, like, beat on its own. And then they took lungs and got that to function on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then they connected all of that to a dead dog head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And they had all these pumps and things going so
Ah.
it would work.
Okay.
But yeah, it shows the dog, like, reacting to sound and opening its mouth.
Oh.
And, like, you know, just
Is
kind
it
of being a
conscious?
dog, you know? I don't know. It looks like his eyes are kind of closed the whole time, but, you know, he seems to react to sound. He seems to react to movement. Like, they bang the table and he'd kind of, you know, flinch and stuff like that. And
Fucking crazy.
I know. And so he's like, we could be doing this, you know, and it's scary.
Yeah, the thing I heard was talking about how they think that stopping aging is way easier than we think it is, but reversing aging is way harder than we think it is.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to learn how to stop aging, but that we can do that because aging and death is a biological function that organisms decided was necessary, because once you're past your prime, once you're past reproduction age, there's no use for you. And so it's best for you to die. I am serious. Like, in a purely, like, life force sense, what's your purpose here? It is to exist, to thrive, to reproduce, and then to get the fuck out of the way. And so that biologically it made sense for us to die, because once you're past the point where you could reproduce and thrive and everything, then you're just in the fucking way. You're a burden.
Oh, I don't want to get old. I'm so scared of getting old and being abused and being forgotten and neglected.
Yeah.
I'm so terrified.
Well, that's okay, because apparently they're gonna just stop aging.
Not in this generation. We're dying.
Yeah, we're gonna die. How pissed are you gonna be?
Ah.
We're gonna be the last people to die?
That's okay. I never wanted to live forever.
We're gonna miss immortality by 100 years? That's fucked up. I'm pissed. I know you're not pissed, but I'm pissed.
I understand. Jesus. Oh, there's my water.
I feel like there's still this, like, youthful part of me that doesn't quite believe I'm gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those horrifying moments where you actually realize it, and
Then you realize your mortality, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
and that's when you have a panic attack, you know? But in general, your day-to-day life, I feel like there's still this, like, part of me that doesn't quite believe it.
Just in denial.
Yeah.
Or just like kids, I can't like understand how people
Yeah.
are outside themselves.
Yeah,
It's hard to death is a weird concept.
Yeah,
and-
you don't quite grasp it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. And we'll see if that changes over time.
Oh, here's another thing that freaks me out about death. This will send me into, like, panic mode every time.
Saddle up.
No, it's not. I don't think it really does it for everyone, but it
Okay.
does it for me.
Okay. Maybe
'Cause-
for you too. Watch out.
Maybe. So, like, I'm thinking about, well, what happens after death? How could we possibly know? Maybe it's a different dimension. Maybe it's a different universe. Maybe it's a different life. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's this. Blah, 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 blah. And I am, like, off on all these tangents of the possibilities. And then I'm like, or it's just like before you were born.
What do you mean?
Well, what was anything before you were born? Nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah.
There was millennia before you were fucking born.
Yeah.
You experienced that in absolutely no way. What makes you think it would be any different after you die? It's just going to be like before you're born.
Yeah, you don't know anything. And
You don't know
life
anything.
Goes on.
You're not here. That's it.
Well, I think that just goes
Nothingness.
hand in hand with nothingness. Yeah, as you said before.
It is nothingness, but we have a hard time grasping the concept of nothingness. We have no way to tangibly understand nothingness. But I think thinking about before you were born is a way to make it tangible.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know for a fact that you knew nothing before you were born.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you think it would be any different after you die? There's nothing. Like, to me, that's borderline evidence that there's fucking nothing. What is it like after you die? It's like before you were born. There's nothing.
Yeah. What do you believe?
Let us know in the comments. Tell us if we sent you into a panic attack. P.S. We're sorry.
Trigger warning?
It's weird because I find that nothing can really purposely send you into that, and nothing can really pull you out. You either have that reaction or you don't. Mm-hmm. So if you had it, truly, I'm sorry, because I've had many at this point, and it's upsetting.
Every time.
I'm like, seriously, I'm not trying to make fun of you. It's upsetting. It upsets me.
Absolutely. That is the biggest, scariest freaking hurdle in our life, because we just don't know.
Yeah. And it's horrifying.
Yeah. That is the all be all, and you're no clue.
I guess on the bright side, before you're born, it's not like you cared. It's not like, it was nothing. It was nothing. It was genuinely
you
nothing.
won't give a fuck.
You won't give a fuck.
I honestly think that, like, no matter what happens, you ain't gonna give a fuck.
I agree. But as living organisms, we just have a natural instinct to care about continuing to live. And the idea.
And justice.
And justice, yes.
Justice is a very big thing.
That's where God comes from. He will judge you.
Yeah.
He will make it right. Here's another thing
None of this all-forgiving stuff that Jesus does. God is vengeful.
Yeah, see, that's a very human thing. And I think that actually it's totally fucked to want anyone to go to hell. And I mean anyone. I don't want Hitler to go to hell, okay? I think Hitler's a fucked up, horrible, evil person. But hell? Think about that. Burning forever. For eternity. Okay? No. No one. No one. Eternity? No one. You're gonna take this itty-bitty little fucking 50-year lifespan, or however long he lived, probably not even that long, and you're gonna burn forever?
That is some mean-ass shit.
No. And we're fucking stupid, okay? We're stupid fucking people with limited fucking brain capacities that don't know what the fuck we're doing and are insanely influenced by our environments and how we were raised and our fucking brain chemistry.
By all these people who don't know shit either.
And you're gonna take that fucking limited, stupid existence and fucking make the rest of eternity fucking treat you accordingly to how you lived in that fucking 45 years with your stupid little brain? No. That's awful. I don't want anyone to go to hell. Nobody. Hell is a fucking horrible idea. And the fact that we invented that and said that's justice and I want that to happen, it's almost disgusting.
It is. It's some evil shit.
It's disgusting, yeah.
You know what's really fucking weird is that Jesus is more godly than God.
That is weird. You're right. And that was very well put. You're right. Because Jesus came down here and said all this loving, forgive, accept stuff.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do. I have died for your sins. I forgive you, you know. And
meanwhile, God's like, put the animals on a boat. I'm killing the people.
Burn in hell, you bitch. You know? Yeah. Fiction. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's true, though. It's true. Like, not even that it's fiction, but just that, like, God as a figure, if you analyze him in for me, a literary way, but not even necessarily that way. But if you just analyze what he does, what is he? He's jealous. He's vengeful. He's spiteful. He's judgmental. You know, and maybe he is. Maybe that's what it's all about. And maybe that's why we're that way. If we're created in his image, right? Maybe God's just a fucking asshole. Who says that God's perfect? You know, why does God have to be this perfect, amazing being? Maybe he is just a fucking douchebag with, you know, like, fucking cut off jean shorts. Who knows?
God is a bro.
He's a fucking man bun bro. I don't know.
No, that's Jesus. Jesus is the man bun.
Yeah, you're right.
God is fucking...
I don't even know who's douchey. Like, just insert douchey description.
Somebody with no neck.
Okay, yeah. He's like a roided out fucking...
kill them all.
God's in the gym.
Just beat red in the face.
Yeah.
Fucking kill him, like.
God's in the gym, pumping earth, making iron, and he's just like, fuck these little peewees!
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's fucked up. No, I mean, I think we would all like to believe that God is perfect, because we would all like to believe that there is some fucking, like, order to all of this.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like death is perfection,
Go on.
I got totally knocked off my thought pattern by your reaction.
I'm sorry. It's just so, like, the perfect artist thing for you to say that I, like, feel like is the cool thing to say, but I just can't get behind it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no. Like, yeah, that's a fucking sexy, cool thing to say, but fuck death. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well.
But no, elaborate.
Well, that's what spirituality is supposed to be. It's supposed to be just an all-perfect thing,
Yeah.
It's you're back at zero, you're back in the womb, in father's arms, and whatever, So, yeah, I don't know. I just can't get behind any religion that threatens you with fear, because that is not what religion is supposed to be. It is supposed to be soothing.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It is supposed to be soothing. I believe it's a human invention created to help us with death. And if it creates fear, then it's not doing its job.
Right. I think it started with good intentions, and then it just blew up into something really bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because people started to see the power it has over people. And, of course, you put that in the wrong hands, and they're going to use it for, bad reasons. Oh, man. Do you think the world would be better off without religion?
No.
No? Mm-mm. How come?
Because everybody has to face death in their own way, and especially having something fine-tuned to their culture and traditions. Yeah, I think it's important. I think their general messages are really great. I think everything just kind of got warped and out of hand and whatever. And, at the end of the day, when someone's on their fucking deathbed, they're like, fucking, please, dear God, and or Allah or whatever the fuck, and it's just.
I agree. I'll still pray when I think I'm dying.
Right, exactly. I'm hungover. I'm like, Jesus, God, if you just let me live through this.
People make fun of that person though. The person that only prays when they are in the shits.
Foxhole.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's a name for it, isn't there? Foxhole something?
Saint, I think.
Yeah, foxhole saints or something?
Something like that, yeah.
You only give a fuck when you're about to die.
Right. And you're still forgiven for that.
Yeah, and it still works, exactly. Which, oh my God, I just think it's bullshit, but I wish I didn't.
Right, because that's another justice thing,
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's
not that it's not fair that bothers me. It's just that it doesn't make sense. I guess it doesn't make sense because of the fairness.
I think that's what, reincarnation is for some people, for fairness. Because Buddhism, there's not really a hell, is there?
Well, Earth is hell.
Right, but, after death. It's just straight to reincarnation, right?
Well, yeah, if you've reached enlightenment, you get to go on to paradise. So there's such a thing as heaven. Right. And if you've not attained that, then you're reincarnated here, which is the equivalent of hell. And you will be born into a life befitting your karma. Right.
And I don't know. I think that's their own way of, coping with that, too. This is their heaven. They don't have a hell, really, They're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to figure out the lessons that I fucked up on this life the next one. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's all soothing. It's all good. It just really got put in the wrong hands and used with bad intentions.
I just have a need for it to be real.
Real?
Yeah.
Not a fairy tale to,
to make me feel better.
Yeah.
What use is that to me if it's fake?
Yeah, it's kind of like Santa Claus and all that.
Yeah, who fucking cares? Great, I feel better, but it's fucking not true.
No.
That doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
I have a need for it to be real. Which is why I guess I'm an atheist. Which is weird because I never used to be. But when my dad died, I went from I became an involuntary atheist. I don't want to be a fucking atheist, but that's just what I deep down believe.
Well, I think you could still be honest about reality and still seek comfort in religion. I mean, we can totally accept the fact that it's scary and whatever. It's a type of denial. It's kind of like a fantasy. It's reading a fantasy book and being like, okay, I'm living in this world or whatever. You know, it's like, okay, well, after death, fine. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go to fluffy clouds. Fluffy clouds, fluffy clouds, fluffy clouds, you know, and...
But most religions demand faith. And if you deep down don't believe any of this is real, you don't have faith.
I think faith is believing it, you know, just being like, exactly that, fluffy clouds, and this is the only way it's going to work, is you keep thinking fluffy clouds, and you put all of your faith and your focus and your thoughts on it, and that's the only way the religion's going to work for you.
So, but how do you cope if that's not really what you think?
You got to find what does work for you, if it's fucking Greek gods, or Indian totem animals, or whatever the hell it is.
But you've always got that element of this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, kinda. But when you are in the face of death, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be gripping at whatever.
Okay. So in life, you're like, this is fucking stupid. But when you're like bleeding out, you're like, okay, go on with it.
Yeah. Yeah, then you'll know what you believe. That'll pop up immediately. You'll know what you really deep down believe.
I think I really deep down believe there's nothing, though. I really do. I don't want that to be the case. I hate that, but that's what I think I truly believe.
I think it's going to be exactly like how when we got into that car crash.
Uh-huh.
I think it's going to be a dead piece.
See, I didn't feel anything in the car crash.
Exactly. Exactly. We accepted our fate. We're like, well, this is it. And we just rode that icy hill down into that bus, you know?
I didn't think I was gonna die, though.
No?
Uh-uh.
I did.
Really?
We were going into an intersection. I was terrified.
I thought I was gonna get hurt, but I didn't think we were gonna die.
I was prepared.
Wow, you were prepared to die?
Yeah.
See, I wasn't.
Yeah, and I just went, all right, here we go. Whatever will be, will be. Jesus, take the wheel.
See, we had a different experience then, because I've reached that total acceptance of this is going to happen and there's nothing I can do about it, but I didn't think it was going to kill me.
Yeah. I think you'll do the same when you actually think that something will kill you. Honestly. I think you've got that kind of soul.
I guess we'll see.
I guess we shall. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
All right, what do you believe, seriously? Because this is always an open-ended conversation. We don't say this enough, but we want your comments. We want your input.
I'm always tweaking what I think about life and death.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the fun of it.
Someone help me come up with some kind of belief other than it's all bullshit. Even if it's weird, hit us with it. We'd love it. We might even talk about it in the future. Yeah, that's all we got.
I'm gonna go yell at the dog now.
All right. This has been Mile High Thoughts. I'm Nicole.
I'm Cassandra. Thanks for joining in.